Hello, my name is Kyle Ramos, and this is my discipline evaluation PowerPoint. This is the gameplay video slide, which shows how the gameplay and models have been implemented, evolved, and reiterated over the last few weeks. My team and I created a 2.5D side-scrolling platform game, where the player's main objective is to navigate through an underwater castle in order to defeat a princess and restore balance to this alien world. My original responsibilities were to model the organic models for the player, the boss, and the enemies. Prior to creating this game, I had little to no experience with modeling organic humanoid figures. The technologies I used to create the humanoid models were Maya, Photoshop, Mudbox, and Unity. In Maya, I created the models, UV unwrapped each model, and rigged them. In Photoshop, I applied textures to the UV maps in order to add detail. In Mudbox, I fixed several seams and added extra details. Once the models were finished, I imported them into Unity. My scope was to create realistic humanoid models. I had to come up with an approach plan to how I was going to create these characters. Modeling came first, then unwrapping, then texturing, rigging came after that, and finally importing into the engine. The first step in my approach plan to create the characters was to create concept art based on reference images that I looked up. The next step was to actually create the models in Maya. After creating the models, I UV unwrapped them. After unwrapping the models, I brought the UV snapshot into Photoshop in order to create the textures. Once the textures were finished and placed onto the models in Maya, I used the human IK in order to rig each character appropriately. After the rigging was done and the weights were painted, the models were dubbed done and imported into Unity. After creating the first set of models, my team and I decided on a cartoony art style, which meant I would have to modify the character models. In order to match our art style, I had to remake all of the concept art, models, and textures from scratch. This slide shows the differences between the original concept art and the new ones. This slide shows the progression and evolution of the modifications of the character models from the old to the new. Due to time constraints, one of the original models was cut. However, in the new models, a separate texture map was made in order to produce the illusion of two different enemy characters. I looked up various video tutorials on YouTube and also looked through several forums to learn new tips and tricks on how to create these models, unwrap them, and create better textures. I learned various lessons throughout the experience of creating these models. I learned that saving numerous iterations allows you to go back and rework certain things without having to start over. I learned how to set up the autosave feature in Maya in order to create iterations. I also learned the basics of organic modeling. I learned how to use several UV tools, such as the UV Smooth tool, in order to create better UV unwrap and package the UVs tighter. I also learned how to create seamless textures for organic models and how to add more detail into the texture in order to give the models more life. Thank you.